Actors, Mr. Musk,
What?
including a lot of Democrats, say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way.
The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally.
Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately.
Including you yourself.
Yes.
An example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza.
Some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000.
Okay, just before we even say anything, I want to say over the last decade, last 10 years, Musk companies, SpaceX and Tesla were awarded at least $18 billion in federal contracts, according to spending data. And since the president's election, his net worth has increased $64 billion, or nearly 25%. So, yeah, I'm going to say, you want to cut something? Cut some of the stuff you're taking out. Yeah. Because, I get that there's fat everywhere, and yes, we'd all like to see less of it. But what you're doing is a lot more than just cutting fat. You're giving people information that they should not have because they're not the people whose information it is.
Yeah.
So, and nobody elected you.
Yeah,
That's the part. That's the main.
All right, guys, so it's another day, which means that the Democrats are once again humiliating themselves in front of the American people, okay? This is a party that is currently in free fall, and they're desperately trying to save themselves because at this point, it's almost over, right? And legitimately, it's almost over for the Democrat Party, right? I'm not sure what they can do to recover, but what they believe they should be doing is to rage against President Trump and Elon Musk for 24 hours straight, right? 7 days a week. It is nothing but Trump derangement syndrome. And I guess you call it Elon derangement syndrome. I'm not entirely sure what you call it. But yeah, that's what's happening, okay? And Democrats made sure that they showed themselves and the joke that they really are at a DOGE hearing, okay? We had a DOGE committee hearing because, all of a sudden Democrats want transparency.
Because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
It's time for
the
us
gentlelady's
to do
time
our
has
job
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's
as Elon
time
Musk.
has expired.
Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Green, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Green literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing, so I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Green. But I also want to run through what DOGE actually is going to do. It's a demolition plan that's going to run through our government.
Yeah, so the Democrat Party, they're currently raging against Elon Musk and DOGE, which means that the liberal media, which is an arm of the Democrat Party, is also doing the same thing.
It was surreal, but I got to tell you, I know what you're not showing here. Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. I know you didn't play the clips. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old. He was talking about line items in the Treasury that had no justification.
There's no any like he doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages? And I have to be clear, to complain about this administration about transparency, when this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference in 6 months, is insane. Well, these guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. It's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we've found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You're talking about 2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving 2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
But 10,000 pages. He's giving very specific things.
Yes, he's giving.
But he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where it is.
Some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not.
Talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants. That was.
Yeah.
FEMA money for migrants, that's okay now?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. The portrayal, what I'm saying is the portrayal by him is...
Elon Musk, who doesn't need to do this, has, he could be doing anything else. He's got companies. He's the richest guy in the world. Has decided to give his own time to a government of a country that he loves, that has given him all this opportunity. I take him at his word that he wants to be transparent, that he invites transparency. Obviously, everybody in the English-speaking world media is looking into him every single day. I would have no fear if I were him about Congress asking questions and looking into it. I think they are.
The definition of it is he's not been on the front end of this so far. He's not been transparent. I mean, there may be.
They are making routine announcements about the things they are finding, and they are inviting questions about the things they are finding every single day.
But by definition, he's not being transparent. They're not providing data for the things that they say they have found evidence of. They just aren't.
The White House has provided.
You can make announcements, and he also did admit that he actually.
So you just don't believe it. I mean, they are providing information. You just choose not to believe that it's true.
I don't think anyone should just believe that it's true. Do you think that people have taken kickbacks of tens of millions of dollars from USAID?
Here's what I think.
Do you believe that?
I think every year.
No, but don't accuse me of just like.
I'm just asking you. Do you believe that there is any level of fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse in the government?
No, that's not what you're asking me, and I'm going to ask the question. Don't accuse me of just like.
And so, if you believe that, do you believe that it's possible that they are finding and producing information about it? Of course,
that wasn't my question. My question was, by definition, they're not being transparent. They can continue to be successful.
What do you want them to do?
Provide data. If they're provide data that they have found people. Everyone would want to know if someone has received kickbacks to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.
I don't disagree with you. I love the idea of data. I love the announcements. I love them putting out regular reports of what they're doing.
They have not.
And I love the idea of Congress also bringing them up to report to Congress on what they're finding, because ultimately Congress needs to be engaged in this as well. I have no problem with that, and I don't think they do either, and that's what I heard in his press conference yesterday.
Yeah, so once again, this is why nobody watches CNN, okay? CNN has become a laughing stock. It is a clown show at this point, and one of the main reasons why is because they pretend not to be an arm of the Democrat Party, a propaganda machine for the Democrat Party, but they clearly are. Okay, you have their so-called journalists arguing with the guests. I mean, just straight up arguing with the guests on behalf of Democrats instead of being a journalist and letting your guest, argue with each other and to debate the issues. No. The actual journalists are flat out just straight up Democrat Party operatives, right? Pushing the narrative that the Democrats want out there. Again, it's amazing stuff because the hypocrisy from these individuals, the liberal media and the Democrats, is stunning because first and foremost, they claim that Elon Musk is really president, right? He's secretly running things. And they say that, nobody elected Elon Musk. Now, first and foremost, Elon Musk is not running anything. President Trump, he is clearly running things. But also on top of that, nobody elected Kamala Harris. Nobody voted for Kamala Harris, right? Nobody voted for Kamala Harris, but y'all were totally fine with her being the Democrat Party nominee, even though nobody voted for her. She didn't win a Democrat primary, right? She didn't win any election, okay? In fact, she lost, but they were totally fine with that. Also, on top of that, they were totally fine with essentially a corpse running this country for the last 4 years. Joe Biden clearly had no clue what was going on at all. There were a bunch of shady bureaucrats and people in the Biden administration, White House aides, they were running the country. The liberal media didn't give a damn about that. In fact, the liberal media ran interference on behalf of the Biden administration, the least transparent administration in American history. If you ask questions about who was running this country, you were deemed a right-wing conspiracy theorist, okay? Until Joe Biden showed the world at the CNN debate that he, in fact, was not running the country. And the liberal media still didn't care, right? They acknowledged that, yeah. Joe Biden is definitely cognitively impaired, right? They acknowledge that he is declining, that he is not capable of running this country, but they didn't ask questions about, well, who's actually running the country? They never asked that question. Again, it's funny how that works. Now, all of a sudden, they are pretending to be concerned about, well, we want to know who's running the country. We want to know who's making the decisions. We want to know who's pulling the strings, even though it's clear President Trump is running the country. Right? It's very clear that whatever Elon is doing, that he's not even like hands-on, right? It's his team working with the Trump administration, right? And before any major decision is made, before they decide to get rid of some useless government department, I'm pretty sure the Trump administration, somebody from the Trump team, signs off on it first, right? They go through it and say, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This is what we want to do. And that's what happens, right? This is literally no different than having a private contractor come in and audit the government and then having government officials actually make the final decisions. It's literally no different at all. But again, according to the media and the Democrats, this is a constitutional crisis, right? A constitutional crisis. I think we had a constitutional crisis the last 4 years because, again, everybody agrees there's no way that Joe Biden was making any decisions. So why were they not concerned about that? Again, this is fake outrage. This is why nobody takes the Democrat Party and the mainstream liberal media seriously, okay? And the great thing about this is that Ms. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for the Trump administration, a much better upgrade over Karine Jean-Pierre, okay? She is essentially going to give the media exactly what they were looking for, which are the receipts.
Before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient and accountable, it was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that DOGE found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that DOGE identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that DOGE is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what DOGE is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this was even happening in our country before Elon Musk talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday? A lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to DOGE. And I also have a DOGE daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information to you. We're talking about it every single day.
Are all those things you just mentioned?
yeah, so what I found to be fascinating about the response from the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party is that once again, we see history repeating itself. You have the liberal media and the Democrats basically ruining their own reputations just so that they can defend the indefensible. In this case, they're trying to defend waste, fraud, and abuse. And they really think that American people are dumb. They are basically telling us that, hey, we don't think you're very intelligent. Like, for example, when Elon Musk pointed out the $50 million to Gaza for condoms thing, the liberal media said, oh, that's not true. That's not true. That's false. Well, it turns out that what they actually were referring to is $50 million in contraceptives for Gaza, Mozambique, right? So then they'll turn around and say, well, Elon lied. He lied about that, right? And it's like, well, he still pointed out the fact that we're sending $50 million to another Gaza, right? Mozambique, Africa, to fight HIV and AIDS, which, you know, may sound like a noble thing to do, but when your country is $36 trillion plus in debt, I think the American people aren't really going to be tolerant of using our taxpayer dollars like that, right? That's what the liberal media and the Democrats don't realize. This is what they don't understand. So with that being said, despite all the boohoo whining and crying, Elon Musk and DOGE, they're actually getting a polling boost. You're starting to see their poll numbers, their approval go up because, you know, President Trump's approval is at an all-time high, but Elon Musk's approval has not been as good, right? But it is actually showing signs that his approval is getting better as DOGE gains traction with voters. Let's read here. New polling data shows that Elon Musk's DOGE Department of Government Efficiency is gaining traction among voters. Recent polls have shown mainly negative results for Musk. The opinion shift on Musk comes amid continuing concerns about how much power and influence the unelected tech billionaire has and how the country is run. Some have even gone as far as to say that Musk is the, quote, real president, a claim that the White House has denied. President Donald Trump created DOGE in an executive order on his first day in office. The department, mandated by the U.S. electorate, is charged with modernizing federal technology and software to maximize government efficiency and productivity. However, the exact scope of DOGE's power is still unclear. Yeah, I think that is like probably 90% of what they're doing. Okay, they're probably working on trying to modernize federal technology and software. That's probably the main thing that they're doing. And I think that when it comes to shutting down these agencies, I think that's actually just being done by the Trump administration, right? Like people like Russ Vought, okay, who actually really does have power and say is actually in the government. Stephen Miller is probably involved. Like, I think those are the people that are actually really running stuff when it comes to deciding which government agencies are getting shut down and what things are getting cut. I think they're using DOGE to help them make those decisions, but I think DOGE's main job is probably just technology and software, right? To be honest with you. And the reason why I say this is because in the original partnership between Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk and his team was focused on technology. They were focused mainly on the tech side of the equation. Vivek was supposed to be focused on the actual cost cutting, right? When it comes to actually cutting out these wasteful agencies and stuff like that, he was supposed to be doing that. But as we know, Vivek left DOGE. So my guess is that that's probably a similar arrangement that they have now, except you have Trump administration officials, again, like Russ Vought, who is the head of the budget office, right? I mean, this guy actually is in charge of the budget, right? I think those individuals are the ones that are actually really making the real decisions, right? That's what I think is happening. And I think they're using Elon Musk as a cover, as a shield, to take all of the criticism away from the people that are actually really doing it. I think that's actually what's happening. Okay, if I had to guess, that's what's really going on here. DOGE has drawn sharp scrutiny for seeking unfettered access to the internal data of government agencies, including the Department of Labor, U.S. Treasury, Office of Personnel Management, General Services Administration, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the Small Business Administration, and more. It has also come under fire for its attempts to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development after Musk claimed that Trump agreed that the agency should be shut down. According to the latest Trafalgar Group and Insider Advantage poll conducted between February 7th to 9th, 49% approve of the job Musk is doing at DOGE, while 44% disapprove. Yeah, so basically, DOGE is up +5. +5, almost 50, basically 50% approval, despite the 24/7 attacks from the liberal media. That's pretty damn good. This same survey found that President Trump's approval rating was 54%. So, I mean, DOGE is right up there with the approval of the president. So, again, this is actually great news because, again, I mean, it's not like we live in a world where the media is actually covering DOGE fairly. But like I told you guys, this is just not a very popular thing to stand against for the Democrats, right? You're standing against something that basically 50% of the American people, at least half of the American people, agree with, okay? And the other half, only 44% of them disagree. So, again, this is a positive initiative for the Trump administration, and the Democrats are standing against it. And the more they stand against it, the more popular that it gets. Well, why is that? It's because people are actually finding out what Democrats have been wasting our taxpayer dollars on, right? What the government does with our taxpayer dollars, okay? We are taxed, and they always want to keep raising taxes, but yet they're wasting our money on their pet projects, helping their friends get rich, helping stage coups in other countries, pushing propaganda on other countries and in our country as well, too. Because they're out here funding the liberal media outlets. This is why they go so far to defend this stuff, right? To defend the indefensible is because they financially benefit. It's because they are in on the waste, fraud, and abuse. Usually the people that are kicking and screaming and crying the most about transparency and getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, those are the people that are benefiting from it the most, right? That's where you find the waste, fraud, and abuse. Those individuals should be the ones that investigate it, okay? That's what's happening. And I think the American people can clearly see that. So, again, you know, if Democrats want to continue to rage against this, fine, be my guest. They're raging against the American people and what the American people voted for. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.